Alright, here we go. I got the truck running here, and it's to mimic as if we were making our delivery. So, right now, the truck is in gear. You see a 6 and a 1, which means we have all 6 gears that it can select from, and we're currently in first gear. Now, this also has a feature in it for what they call auto neutral. So if you were to mistakenly get to a site and forget to take it out, put it into neutral, it's still in gear, and we hit the parking brake, you'll see that you have an N and a number 6 flashing. That means that our auto neutral just kicked in. So it allows us to default to neutral, so in case we hit the throttle or something, we don't pull away from our parking brake. Okay? But the proper way to do this is that you would get to your delivery, you're going to hit neutral, it goes into neutral, you pull your parking brake. Now, nothing is going to work on the pumping system, not the RF system. You're not going to have air to your toggle switches or anything unless you have the parking brake set. So that's number 1. Second thing you need to do is hit the release button, slide your ticket in from the side, and biggest thing here is you want to make sure that you don't have a red paper outlight. If you have a red paper outlight, the register's not going to let any product go through it. You always have to have a ticket in the printer, and you'll see a couple of scribe marks on the side of the printer here. That's where the head of the printer makes first contact. So slide the ticket in, you'll find that happy spot. I usually slide it in from the side, I hit forward, and then the way to find that happy spot is just do reverse until you see paper out. And then once the paper out light goes away, you know that the printer head is making contact at the very highest spot possible that it can on your ticket. So now we have the handheld remote. We have our ticket in the printer. And to power up your handheld remote, you hold this green button down here that says menu on it until you see your screen come on. And there we go. The screen just came on. So we have a few different functions here, right? So we have, PTO, throttle, self-explanatory, what they're going to do. We have delivery, which is going to show us the gallons. It's normal for it to show 1/10 until we reset the meter. And then we have reel out, and we also have reel in, which you're usually not. That's really a redundant control in case the switch back there were to go bad. You have a backup way to get the hose itself to reel in, because nobody wants to do it by hand. And then we have query, and what query is when you're pumping on anything that is 3,500 gallons or over, you have to have a query button on it. So within every 5 minutes, you have to hit this button to show that you're alive, you're alert, the hose isn't spewing gas all over the place. And what it does is at like 4 minutes and 30 seconds, you'll hear the backup alarm go off. You'll see the light flash on the back, and on your screen you also have a timer, a countdown. It'll show you how much time you have left, so you don't have to wake up the neighbors if you're doing or disrupt people. You can watch that counter. Let's say it gets to 4 minutes, you hit query, the timer's going to reset. So let's go out and make like we're going to do a delivery. This is the first place your air goes before it goes anywhere else in the system. We want to make sure that you're going to feel pressure on it. We want to make sure both sides are in the up position, and then we're okay to go to the back. We're going to pretend like I put my top box in. So, looking at our register now, we have the ticket in the printer. To make this delivery pump and print, we're going to go to the run position. You're going to see this thing zero out, and you hear a click. The click is a little solenoid valve here. That solenoid valve needs to click. It will not operate, it won't do anything unless you have that ticket in the printer. You're just not going to get gas through the meter. So, as mentioned, we have our main for our belly valve. That's the only one we have to have on, so that is going to allow us to get product. It's open now, so the product in the tank will flood the pump, and we're going to be ready to pump gas, and all we have to do is hit our PTO button on here. So we mentioned the buttons on here where we have reel in and reel out. So reel out, I'm going to show, when you do this, you're going to walk out with the hose, you feel some tension on the hose. That's the time to hit the reel out button. You don't want to keep your finger down on it unless you're Speedy Gonzalez and you can run really fast. But you're just going to bump it to help you pull it off. And the reel in button is on the arm here, on the guide master. And like I said, if for whatever reason, that's a much better design than the old ones. The old ones we had a lot of failures. That's why we did that redundant control on that. So, let's say we've got our hose and valve off. We've walked out to the tank. It's super easy because we use our reel out along the way. And we've got our run position. We have our belly valve on. Now we just come in, and I'm going to do this briefly because we don't have gas in the tank. So, hit the PTO button. And you just heard that PTO kick in, and we'd be pumping gas right now. So while we're pumping gas, we are probably pumping 55, 60 gallons a minute, but we want to speed that up. We just hit our throttle button here, and the truck responds by going up to somewhere around 950 RPM. So we're pumping away at, say, 65, 70 gallons a minute. We're looking at how much gas we're pumping, and let's say we want to stop that at 200 gallons. We can come back, we can throttle down. Not necessary, but you can throttle down. You're watching your gallons click away, and you hold your remote out, and then you just throttle your hose end valve until you hit the gallons you want, and you can stop it right there. We can do presets, and we'll show you here that in a second. But that's what you would do. You'd be all done with your delivery at that point. You'd disconnect the hose, come back, put it on the truck, come back to your red selector switch here, go to stop, and then you go to print. You can leave it in print, stop. It's a delivery end request. I get in the habit of going to stop, but you can leave it in print, and it's completely compliant going down the road like that. Just the next time you come out, you're going to put it in run. So let's go up in the cab and take a look at that ticket. All right, we're back in the truck now, and here's my printer. I just hit release on the ticket. The head for the cartridge comes undone. And then there we have our ticket. So we have what they call the meter block. So on the meter block we have to have a start and end, and then we do a net delivery, and the product is corrected to 60 degrees. 60 degrees correction is net delivery. So that wraps up that delivery, and you can move on to your next one. So the proper way I think that most people would say is, if you're going to do a preset, you would have to walk all the way out to the tank, verify what the level is in it before you actually put in your preset delivery, but that's just me. So when we look at our switch here, we've got two different functions. Right now we have stop in this position, or we can enter, select a product number and the preset, right? So we're going to do a preset. Product 1, propane is always product 1. It's not going to give you any other product but product 1. And then we come in here, and I'm just using the select button, and we're going to go over to how many digits we want. So let's say we're going to do, here if we want to do 10 gallons, 20 gallons, 30, 40, you get the point. Oh no, I want to do 100. So just go around to 0 again, select your way all the way through, back over here, get to 100 gallons or 200 gallons, right? So our preset is set at this point. And all we need to do then is we make sure our belly valve is open. We go to the run position, and then we let it pump. While you're pumping, you're going to notice that when you get to the end of your preset delivery, you're going to hear the rate of the meter is going to slow down. So what we have is what we call S1 closure, which is this big valve back here, and these lines right here are S2. So the last gallon and a half or so is going to travel through this solenoid valve and these half-inch lines here until you get to that number, and then it shuts off, and at that point you would then click your PTO off. And you still do, there's different ways you can set these registers up, but the way that we set them up is no matter, whenever you want to print a delivery ticket, you have to go to print, right? So some of them will automatically print when a preset delivery is done, but what if it wasn't enough? What if you put in the wrong amount? What if it's not at 85% or 80%? It gives you the opportunity to run more gallons and then print the ticket. Otherwise, you'd be giving the customer 2 tickets, and typically they don't respond very well to that. They think you're filling up somebody else's tank. This is more, I don't know, housekeeping thing or troubleshooting, kind of a combo of both. But the register also allows you to do shift print tickets. So at the end of the day, you can run a shift print ticket. So you can take all of your individual delivery tickets, compare them to a shift print ticket, make sure that if you had 15 deliveries, the gallons add up. And the way a shift print works is kind of like a trip odometer on a vehicle. If you do a shift print ticket, it resets it to 0. So then we go out and we make our deliveries throughout the day, and it adds them all up until we print the next shift print ticket. Then it goes back to 0 again. So, you know, if you do it daily, if you do it monthly, whatever it is, whenever you do that shift print ticket, it's going to reset to 0. So anyways, got the ticket in here, and if we didn't have, you get a package of tickets here, these big long ones. If you didn't have one of those, you just simply take a regular 8x10 sheet of paper, fold it the long way, you can throw it in there and get the same thing. But I cheated this all the way to the top. I'm going to go back there and demonstrate, number 1, what a shift print ticket is, number 2, what a calibration ticket is, or a diagnostic ticket. They're one and the same. Red selector switch. Again, we're going to use this, and there's 2 different functions when you're in your shift print, right? Shift print, it'll do a calibration ticket. Now, a shift print, it's all contingent upon how long you leave that switch in that position. So to do a shift print ticket, we're going to put it down there and we're going to leave it there. So we're going to leave it there for like longer than 2 seconds, 5 seconds. Just take your time and then come back to stop, and we'll go up in the cab and show you what to print. Here we go. I had to get my glasses on. So here's our shift start, the time, our shift finish, date and time, and what we did. Right? So we have our total gallons of our net that's corrected to 60 degrees, our total gross that's before temperature correction, and then, and then our total net. So this is a register total of all of the gallons pumped through and the other ones are just on the shift. So next we'll show you what the diagnostic or calibration ticket looks like, and we'll describe what the different areas are on that make sense to us. Alright, the calibration / diagnostic ticket takes up a lot more space. It prints up a lot more information. So I forward lock it in, I reverse it until I see paper out, and I go forward one more. So I'm using as much of the ticket as I can possibly. Okay, we're going to go to the back and we'll take a look at the process. So like I said, we're going to use the shift print function, but this time it depends. We don't want to leave the switch in that position for longer than 2 seconds. So the way I do it is I count to myself and I say shift print, 1, 2, stop. Now we'll go up front and see what that ticket looks like. So coming back in the cab, you can see it's printing all this information. So after you've hit that, I'm going to go ahead and hit the release button there, Marla, and hand that to me. Hand the ticket to me, please. So it should be printing information. It's normal for it to still be printing by the time you got in there. So it says calibration ticket on it, but we also call it a diagnostic ticket because it also will give us diagnostic messages on the bottom, and they'll give us codes, and if we had a situation like that, we could look up the code and tell you what it is. But it would, even the other thing you need to keep an eye on is your delivery tickets during the day. They have their own little watchdog thing going on, so if it did sense some type of an error on the electronic side, your regular delivery ticket would have a couple of asterisks and it would say fault, print diagnostic ticket. This is the process you would do. So we don't have calibration factors on products number 2, 3, or 4, so they'll never be able to be selected, but it tells us what's going on here, identifies our register head, the product that we have it calibrated for, and the compensation table, which we need to do for propane. And then down here, we see what our temperature is and things like that. We have 0 pulsar faults. The way that these registers work is they have pickup spinning on from product going through the meter, and it's kind of interesting because there's over 2,000 pulses that make up 1 gallon. That's how accurate these things are. And then it also shows us if you connect electronics to it. These registers have kind of like their own IP address. So if you put a computer in here that's designed to work with the LCR register head, we have to give it an address, right, that it's going to shake hands on. The default is what's in there right now is 250. So you could do any number 1 through 250. Usually your software provider on propane is going to have this node address set to number 1. But that's something that whoever you're working with on that process, they'll probably handle that for you. But that's just a way of double checking, hey, are we handshaking on the right node address? So there you go.